6 foreigners were apprehended by operatives of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA, after 2 boats carrying 1,960 kilograms of cannabis known as Ghanaian Loud were intercepted at Eleko Beach in Lekki, Lagos on Christmas Eve. The suspects, who reportedly smuggled the cannabis from Ghana through the waterways, were arrested during a midnight operation. The agency spokesperson, Femi Babafemi, identified the suspects as 2 Ghanaians, Godsway John, 38 years, and Freedom Kelvin, 33, and 4 Beninese nationals. Chengao Hansu, which is 23, Gadabo Yamento, 47, Adangt Sasa, 34, Ayao Kayivi, 21. Bafemi stated, operatives of the Marine Command of the NDLEA intercepted 2 boats loaded with 1,960 kilograms of Ghanaian Loud at Eleko Beach in the Lekki area of Lagos at 2:30 a.m. on Christmas Eve, December 24. 6 foreign nationals who transported the consignment from Ghana were arrested during the operation. In a separate operation, a 48-year-old businesswoman, Orizu Athor, was arrested at the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja, on December 22nd while attempting to board an Air France flight to Paris. Orizu was flagged for refusing a body scan during passenger clearance, citing medical reasons. He was subsequently taken into custody, where he excreted 74 wraps of Class A drugs over 7 days. Babafemi revealed that Orizu confessed to owning a shop at Balogun Market, Lagos Island, where he sells school and travel bags. He claimed he was offered 3,000 euros to deliver the consignment to Paris and travel to Abuja Airport to evade detection. In Katsina State, 2 suspects were arrested in separate operations for possession of compressed cannabis sativa. Ibrahim Shaibu, who's 35 years, was caught with 40 album-sized parcels of cannabis weighing 35 kilograms at the Central Motor Park on Christmas Day. Umau Ahmed, 47, was intercepted along the Zaria Malamfashi Road with 27 parcels weighing 13.5 kg on December 28. A raid in Benin City, Edo State, on December 23rd led to the arrest of a 21-year-old suspect, Kosiso Chukwu Ozigbo. Recovered items included 32,490 pills of tramadol in various dosages, 936 bottles of codeine-based syrup, and other quantities of opioids, according to Babafemi. Okay. Now, this is just, when you look at these stories, this is just too much. And to think that all of this happened in just 1 month, which is the festive season, I'm wondering, is this like the new, recently we heard about this whole coming back to Lagos to have, I don't know the name that it's called, Dirty December. Yeah. So could it be that this is like a means to like actually dirty the December, if there's any word like that? Because why all of these drugs? Can't people have fun without all of these drugs and all of that?
Well, wow. First of all, those are a lot of drugs going around during 25th and the rest.
Yes.
Wow. And when you start reading it immediately, like a very good joke just came into my mind. The first candidate that was apprehended, his name is Godsway. Okay. And God's way seems to be going the wrong way. So, wow, back to your question about, wow. Well, I don't really know much about the drug movement in Africa, Nigeria, and the rest, but we know it's a thing. It's happening every day, probably. Maybe this December, they were shipping for the new year and the rest of it. So I think that's why it was in so much bulk. Yeah, I don't know why people do that. I don't know. I haven't ever done it myself, so I don't know why it happens. But the thing about drugs, and well, good job to the drug law enforcement, apprehending these people pushing around these hard drugs in different places. But it's still going to keep happening, sadly, unfortunately, until even greater measures are carried out, because even some people, this is very disheartening to see, some people who are also in authority are involved in these movements. So you would be surprised, out of 100% of these things that happen, this is just 5% of it that has been discovered. There is so much more going on, which I don't really have knowledge about, but I can tell you it's happening. So these people moving in drugs and moving out drugs, I don't know if it's for Dirty December. I can't tell you
the
that.
First story actually implies that it was actually for, because that happened on the 25th, on Christmas Eve. So
how beautiful! I was in church that day.
So while we were in church celebrating the whole Christmas, people were out there, you know, trying to celebrate something else.
Yeah.
So that's why I was asking, is it that if people cannot, like young adults cannot have,
they can do without that,
such parties and you know, have fun without these drugs? And it's really crazy, because I mean, why on earth? And for the people who smuggle these things into our country and all of that, do you think the law enforcement agencies are doing well enough to curtail these movements of drugs and all of that?
Oh, okay. I'll start from your first question, where you asked if young people can't have fun without, you know, moving this around. Well, they can. I mean, I had a good time on 25th.
Okay.
They can, but we need to look at the reasons why people take drugs. Some people have been moved into drugs through association. Some people going through emotional issues or depression. It has been an escape mechanism for a few people out there, and some people it's just a business to get the funds, and for the pushers too. Some of them, they may be into debts. One of the things I noticed, like through research, that many of the people who push drugs are actually into bondage to those who they push for. So it's either a matter of, oh, I owe this person a debt, and he decided, okay, since you can't pay, this is what you're going to do for me, and they're stuck. You see, one of the things about poverty is that it reduces your options, which is very terrible. That's why people should, you know, move for wealth, so that you don't be in bondage to anybody. So, yeah, we need to look at the reasons why people take drugs, and I think rather than our government, like, dealing with the end results, why don't they look at the roots of the reasons and try to work on those roots? Because if the roots are clean, the fruits will be clean as well. So if they can get to understand by people who are into this business of addiction and recovery, of, you know, rehabilitation, that's those who are properly well trained into this, if they can get to partner with these people to see the roots of why these things are happening and start dealing with the roots rather than cutting off the stems and having it grow back. If they can do that, which they should, I think that would help with solving these issues more. But like I said, now in reference to your second question, I think the people who are honest people in drug law enforcement probably are doing their best to see these things change, because I think it's just like this drug thing is just like a situation of expo in secondary school. When you think you have it, the students just beautifully, creatively make another way. And I think that's what's happening. So the people who are fighting it are doing their best. And also the people who are also in authority and making things a bit difficult are doing their part as well. So I think those who are fighting for the right side should just keep on fighting. And let's hope things get better.
Okay, so is there any punishment for those who are caught either smuggling or taking or anything of that sort as regards to this whole drug issues? Are there punishments levied against people who are caught in the act?
Okay, it's not something I've really made research on, to be honest, but I think there are, because these people who have been caught smuggling have been detained, and probably other legal actions will be taken against them. Yes.
But do you think whatever punishment that is being given to them, do you think it's going to be enough to put an end to the whole smuggling of drugs?
Oh, no, it won't.
Especially for those who are addicted rather to the intake of drugs and all of that. So for someone, okay, let's assume you have people out there who, someone who is addicted, what would be your advice to that person?
Then should get help.
Okay.
You see, one of the beautiful things I really appreciate in our nation and our institution is the impact of parochial institutions. By that I mean churches and the rest. That apart from, I think pastors and ministers have realized that apart from just laying hands and shouting fire, there is also a physiological or mental aspect to it, to see how they can help people in this situations. Like the church I attend, we have a department for addictions and recovery, which we have well-trained specialists dealing with people who have drug addictions, seeing them get out of it. And I know of a few people who are clean, at least for months now. And I think if I don't know, if our government can also adapt to that system rather than jailing these people. Because when you jail them, they stay for a time. When they come out, they continue.
Exactly.
Definitely. Once a person is addicted to a particular substance, I don't think just keeping the person away from it is enough. Because there has to be an in-depth work, a deep work in that person. And I really give a big ups to the churches and the foundations and institutions and NGOs who are working very hard, fighting daily to see that these things are solved in our society.
Okay, so taking you back to the statement you made where you said some of these people take these drugs because of depression, on all of those things. And do you think that, let's assume I'm open to my parents. Do you think, how do I put this question? Okay, do you think that parents also have a role to play in children carrying out these exercises? Because I want to believe that if I have a good relationship with my child should be able to speak to me about any issue or whatever it is that concerns him or whatever is bothering him. So should we say that parents have failed in their duty to properly train the young adults of our generation, owing to the fact that most of them take these things because they are sort of depressed and probably don't have someone to talk to and all of those things? Okay.
I don't want to sound very religious, but I'll have to say that I think it is, like, based, because you're asking me on my views, so I'll put it out there. You see, a parent can raise a child, but it takes God to keep the child. I know of people that their parents are way better when it comes to raising, when it comes
discipline,
to nurturing, not just discipline, like being a friend to their child and being there for their children. And somehow these children still go haywire. Why there are some that their parents didn't really put in a lot of effort, and you see they are fine. Now, definitely, is there a role that a parent should play in the safety of their child, like in removing them from vices? Obviously, yes, there is. And have some parents failed in it? Yes, that's a fact. Have some been doing well in it? Yes. But like I said, it takes a parent to do well. It takes God to keep a child. Now, the thing is that I really want to give appreciation to a lot of parents, not just older generation parents, but the newer parents who are seeing that they are there for their children, seeing that they get to raise their children in a way that they can talk about these things to them. Their parents are really doing good. And I've not been a parent myself, but I know it's not easy to raise children. No? You can do your best and a child still goes in some other direction, totally outside everything that you have done, everything that you have modeled. It happens. It doesn't mean the parent is bad. It just means that life happens. So we can't really blame parents fully on the reasons why their children go bad or why their children go the wrong way. We can't totally blame them. Yes, there's a role for parents to play. And yes, some people are in these situations because their parents have failed, is a fact. But as well, apart from, you see, back to, sorry for cutting short, back to what I've said before, when it used to be a community to raise a child, it was, I think, easier to have a child avoid these kind of things, or to have a person growing up avoid these kind of situations. It was easier. Because then, when we're growing up, if your neighbor catches you doing something, but they can flog you before your mother comes. They can discipline you. They can have these things done. But now, you don't touch anybody's child before you enter trouble. So that's just the thing. I feel parents are doing their best. The ones who are doing their best.